Fucking stupid piece of shit. Evie Mux, you piece of shit. Shit just be crashing.
They get to look at me. A bubble in a cup, a bubble in a cup. All you gave LA was a bubble in a cup. You want a statue, but you ain't done enough. All you gave LA was a bubble in a cup. Bubble in a cup, bubble and a cup. All you gave LA was a bubble in a cup. Demand respect, but won't give none up. All you gave LA was a bubble in a cup. Bum. Fucking clown. King of the flop, yeah, he do it a lot. A king ain't a king if his crown ain't righteous. You the GOAT on a team with the worst plus minus. Spineless, cause every time you lose, you run. But when you win, it's handshakes, giggles, and hugs. Ain't no coach's job safe around you if a teammate outshines or rebounds you. Knife to the back, boy, you about to be traded. You don't believe me? Ask Anthony Davidson. I don't give a damn about your all-time scoring or the stats you pass. You never be Jordan. Get his number off your back, LeBron, you're not worthy. The worst Laker to ever wear the jersey. LeGM might be worth his weight in money. The only thing clutch about you is your company. A bubble in a cup, a bubble in a cup. All you gave LA was a bubble in a cup. You want a statue, but you ain't done enough. All you gave LA was a bubble in a cup. A bubble and a cup, a bubble and a cup. All you gave LA was a bubble and a cup. Kobe told you they don't hang them fake banners up. All you gave LA was a bubble and a cup, you bum. Fucking clown.
Good morning, Vietnam, and sports and fitness rants. How you doing today, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing sensational, man. Once again, me and Nazar, video footage, we are back with a Friday edition. So once again, shout out to everybody that continues to come through and show love to the live streams. Thank you very much for the support. Shout out to Michael Knight. Shout out to Zizza Plays. Shout out to Animaniac. Shout out to Renee43. Shout out to my man Howard Hollis. Import, Chris Garcia. Shout out to all you guys, like I said, that continue to come through, man. Andrew Music, CGP, it really means a lot. You see, we have Bubble in the Cup. Shout out to L Explicit. Don't forget my man L Explicit who comes through and gave us that. Blessed us once again with Bubble in the Cup. And you guys know the deal, baby. Let's roll.
L Explicit is the musical artist responsible for that. And we're letting people roll in. We don't normally do a Friday, but when we can fit them in, we do. So here we are. Yep. And someone said brawny in a cup. Nice. Michelle Marie with our first super chat. Michelle, you were from Australia, if I recall. Thanks for another live AOH and SNFR. Respect and respect back. Thanks.
For real.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for the support. Howard Stern stealing AOH's work. What? Howard Stern get a perm?
Howard Stern get a perm?
I don't know. I haven't kept up with what that guy's doing.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Low-hanging fruit. We'll just cover some of the stuff we didn't cover on Wednesday. And why not save it until Sunday? Well, Sunday, guys, I asked Sports and Fitness Rants how he'd feel about us doing a live review of the Olympic footage I've tried to post and never makes it. It keeps getting flagged. And I was trying to debunk when Brontards were saying that LeBron shut down Jokic, which is laughable in the first place and then really laughable when you look at the footage. So no, people haven't gotten to see it because you can't play like a second and a half of Olympic footage without getting flagged. And I think all of YouTube is heading that way. You know, Jim messaged me wondering what's going on with YouTube. Our days may be numbered. Things are getting tough.
They don't want you to put the video footage out there. That's why I said I call you the czar of the video footage, man. When you highlight these things, you zoom in on certain angles. Like I said, the video footage that you're able to break down, the time that you put in to do these things, man, that's why you're the czar. So much respect to my man AOH. Shout out to Jim. Shout out to Uncut Hoops. He does a lot of the similar stuff with the editing and, like I said, the video footage that you guys provide to everybody out there. Like I said, they don't want you guys showing that stuff, man.
So what's the next step? You know, Jim could go back to not showing footage and just talking, but we're on our way to where voicing your opinion is going to get you in trouble, period. You can't even go on there and just talk.
Yeah, and you know what's really sad, though? Like, when you talk about what you're doing and what a lot of these guys, people complain about and stuff, or you talk about these copyright infringements and whatever, YouTube decides to do with some of this stuff. I've been there myself, and I don't do nearly the kind of things that you guys do. Is that it's not as if you guys are, finagling the video footage.
Right,
you guys are editing the video footage in a way that you're making it look a certain way. You're trying to make the NBA look bad that way. You're simply just putting out the video footage that's before us, and you're breaking it down. That's what's so confusing about a lot of this stuff. Like we said, sometimes the truth hurts for these people.
It's sad as a society that your goal is to avoid the truth. It's not. The goal should be to get to the bottom line. Like if you guys revealed that Jordan was in fact a bad player, what do you think I'm going to do? Create some AI to counter living actual footage? It's not that important. Why do people want to believe a lie so badly and just stick to something that they've already made up their minds to support, no matter what? Leo says Nick Wright reminds me of Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings. Wow.
Or shout out to Leo Zakar for always coming through. Shout out to all you guys. I see you guys out there. Andre Carter, like I said, Shannon Lewis, shout out. Ray Dean, Troy Black. Thank you very much, guys, for coming through.
Internet billing. Okay, I don't know what that is. Delusional Brontards have to make up things to praise him for, says Renee.
That's exactly what they do, Renee. It's the narratives and the lies. That's what we're talking about.
While people are still filtering in, I'm going to play that clip of Barkley dunking on Wallace that we talked about for a long time. We ended up talking about it for a long time Wednesday, but I never
didn't play it.
Oops.
Shout out Nemo LA, what up? Vaughn NY. They know the deal, man. Charles Barkley used to have those ill dunks.
Both of those. So the Wizards still trailing by 2. Barkley.
He's going to get him with the pump fake.
Working now on Ben Wallace.
You see that floating motion?
His living in college, working on the big guys. He loved the big guys.
And again, he can play off that streak. He's quick, gives you that head fake, gets around it, and can just power up to the...
It's that floating motion that you don't expect to see that always has me just wondering about Barkley. He's a phenomenon, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, and this is Barkley after, years of being in the league and, like I said, dealing with that, extra weight for all those years and some of those injuries that he had, that he played through. And he was still able to, like I said, be effective around the rim and necessarily. And why are you stepping out on Charles Barkley? Because Charles Barkley was known for being able to knock that shot down. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is the young Ben Wallace. When Ben Wallace is still trying to, get his, his wings, earn his wings out here.
Leo says this was Wallace before the massive afro. The afro gave him his superpowers. I'll tell you one thing.
Right, he had to develop Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace tries again. I feel like that's another difference from today. Once you get beaten, people just seem to quit. Ben Wallace at least tried to go back and still challenge the dunk. I mean,
great basketball play right there. Great basketball play. Like I said, it's just a basketball. Oh, yeah, shout to Kevin Willis.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You talking about some old veterans out there, Charles Barkley and Kevin Willis at that time, man. Damn.
Well, if anyone else has any insights on that clip, but that's just a little something to get us warmed up. Here's the other thing that is low-hanging fruit for me. We're going to talk about football for a minute. I listened to The Odd Couple the other day, and they were talking about the worst NFL busts ever. And funny thing is, me being a Bay Area guy, that they could have called the show the worst Bay Area busts, and it would have had the same results. We have the worst two. We have the top two on the list with Oakland's quarterback, and with the Niners. And the most recent one, of course, was Trey Lance. And here's how I'm going to tie it back into talking about basketball. Rob Parker made the point that Trey Lance hadn't really done that much on film to warrant being treated that way. And I thought, well, that sounds like brawny. But the bigger point I want to make is that they said at least the Niners realized their mistake and moved on. It was a huge mistake, bad mistake, the things that they gave up in order to get Trey Lance. But you can probably guess where I'm going with this. This is what the NBA should have done with LeBron James. They said, this is our guy. We're going to invest in him. And after LeBron showed you who he really was, the NBA should have said, oops, we're going to move on. Sorry, you don't get the crown of the chosen one. You are not going to be the face of the league. Instead, it would have been like if the Niners had just stubbornly stuck with Trey Lance and stopped making the playoffs year after year. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think of that? Can you make something of that?
Well, I mean, all right. Well, let's be honest here and let's be real. You know, we're comparing Trey Lance to LeBron James. All right, wait. So let's understand that one of LeBron James' greatest strengths that Trey Lance is, never going to know anything about is how he's able to control the narrative through the media, through these other people. These analysts, quote unquote analysts. These people who are supposed to be giving us the facts that he's somehow paid under the table. He's doing side deals with some of these people. He's doing all these shady things behind closed doors so that he can always come out in a good light. That's why you hear a lot of people celebrate LeBron James for a lot of things that, it's like the charity work. They'll celebrate LeBron James for his charity work, but they're celebrating someone who celebrates himself for his charity work. So really, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, the people that you understand that do things, for people, is because they do it. You can tell it's genuine. It's authentic when it comes from them. LeBron James always comes across as someone who needs to be recognized for the things that he does for others. Right?
I have to insert something. I will
Absolutely.
never forget him sitting down for an interview with Rachel Nichols to talk about how humble he was about opening the school. What? You're doing a fucking show about it.
Remember, he has a shrine to himself in the school. And I'm not saying, one way or the other, whatever. But, we have to take these things into account. This is how LeBron James always promoted himself. It's always about what he gets. The only thing I was going to say in relation to the Trey Lance thing is that, Trey Lance don't have these narratives and all these people working behind the scenes for him, to, like you said, to have them, the NBA. Like, remember, we used to talk about why when you used to look at the NBA League Pass and you would go to their advertisements, LeBron James is the face that comes up for the NBA League Pass. And we're like, why the hell you have LeBron James' face all over NBA League Pass when there are so many other great stars that are younger, that are in their primes, that are winning, that are doing things, you know what I'm saying, that are going out there that people want to see that you're not even promoting?
Yep. LeBron is a legend in his own mind, says Leo. Speaking of, somebody said, hey, maybe he would have developed, maybe Trey would have developed under a different coach. We can apply that to just about everybody.
Football is tough, especially for quarterbacks. And like we said, Trey Lance didn't even really have experience at the college level like that. That was the big knock on him, is that he didn't really have that many snaps being a full-time starter, you know what I'm saying, at that level like that. So, like you said, for teams to give up what they gave up to get him, it was a question mark. You were drafting him off of potential, like you said, LH. Maybe he could become something. So, yeah, he still has that potential inside of him. But when you talk about the NFL and being a quarterback, some of these guys just don't have it. Even if they have the quote-unquote potential, they're missing the other things. You know, if you can't read defenses, if you don't understand the game like that, then you're really never going to get to that level.
I was going to use a lot of people have potential. Are you going to allow them to develop or not? As an excuse to talk about Iman Shumpert. Because, it was about a month ago that I came across an old ESPN clip of Stephen A. Smith and someone else saying, damn, look at this Shumpert guy when he was with the Knicks. This guy's going to be something else. And then I just happened to see this highlight reel of Shumpert, and I thought I'd play it for a little bit because, damn, this guy is a nobody on your team.
I can't believe we got some Iman Shumpert highlights.
Let's go from a New York guy. Hey, I'm sorry, but he was
guys. Fields short. Shumpert comes flying in and throws it down.
I'm sorry, that's better than a LeBron dunk.
And then they call a technical foul for hanging on the rim.
You know what the sad reality is, man?
After he threw it down.
The reason why you even have to do something like this is because the LeBron James fans, let it roll.
Well, I turned the volume off. We can. Do you want me to pause it while you talk, or do you want the clips to roll?
Yeah, let it roll. Anyways, my bad, man. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. Jesus, come on. That's nasty.
See, I'm just saying, like, what I was going to say was, like, because, like, we talked about, the fans of LeBron James, they never want to big up his teammates. And, no one's saying that Iman Shumpert is, this crazy, amazing player and, he's a Hall of Famer and this and that. But when we talk about role players, and we mentioned this many times, that word, role players, and when they talk about the guys that, some of these other guys played with in their careers, we often talk about the Michael Jordan comparisons. They always bring up Michael Jordan's teammates. But someone like Iman Shumpert, we mentioned the guys like the J.R. Smiths, but not only those guys, just a plethora of players that LeBron James has played with, that maybe they weren't superstars, maybe they weren't, the greatest players ever, maybe they weren't at their peaks, but LeBron James had opportunities to develop guys, never wanted to do that. He had opportunities to maximize guys, but he never did that because he never allowed these guys to actually be role players. And his fans never give these guys respect. So yes, Iman Shumpert was a quality role player for the role that they wanted him to do. But ultimately, you're forcing these guys to do things that they're not accustomed to doing. Because Iman Shumpert's not a shooter, but they forced him to be a 3-and-D guy. That dude can't shoot worth a lick, but he was forced to be a 3-and-D guy. J.R. Smith, they forced these guys that were athletic, that were known for being slashers, right? That's what they were known for doing. You're forcing them to shoot now. That's not what they were known for doing.
And this is why I'm mentioning Shumpert, because I'm sick of talking about the obvious guys. This is how crazy LeBron's career is. Like, we actually have to argue with LeBron people about whether or not D Wade was part of getting unfair advantages, whether Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and Anthony Davis are all unfair. And then everybody else, I mean, you got 2 spots left on your fucking team. And LeBron James is saying, we didn't have enough.
Yep.
And then, so I move on to looking at who he's referring to when you don't have enough. I mean, look at this defensive play.
Like BJ Armstrong was a really good role player for the Bulls, man. And there's no knock on him. But BJ Armstrong wasn't flying through the air on put-back dunks like that. Iman Shumpert could regularly do these things. Steve Kerr, John Paxson. Not saying that they weren't better in other areas, obviously shooting and things of that nature. They played their roles. But Iman Shumpert could do things also.
Let me play this because we know that maybe one of LeBron's most remembered moments in a finals series is a chase down block. Well, here's Shumpert doing it to the Warriors, and nobody talks about this.
Woodson is correct.
Let me rewind that.
As he goes down. Throwing and shot from the field. Thompson the drive. Blocked from behind as he goes down.
Iman Shumpert.
Crowd wanted a foul there as well.
Oh, that was, I don't know if that counts as hand as
He
part
got
of the
ball
ball,
first. He got the ball first.
I guess. Jesus Christ.
In the streets, that's good.
Can you throw someone to the ground as long as you get the ball first?
Like I'm saying, man, like that. When you talking about from behind like that, I'm not saying it wasn't a foul. It was a foul, but he got the ball first.
Anyway, the similarity to the LeBrons is that Thompson had to be worried about another defender, so he wasn't thinking about the guy coming from behind. Anyways,
like you said, guys are giving effort. This is what we're talking about. The teammates of LeBron James. Like I just mentioned, yes, these guys may not have the name on the back of the jersey, but a lot of those guys gave effort. Mozgov, the guy you saw out there in the play before.
Did you see that? That's more of a bag than LeBron has. I just saw more of a bag than LeBron has in one play from Iman.
I see what I'm talking about.
He also has just an absolutely legendary flop against the Warriors that I got to find and queue up. But that's better than any dunk I've ever seen from LeBron. LeBron does the same thing all the time, and Shumpert's smaller than LeBron.
Still can't.
Anyway, I don't. What? Go ahead.
No, I still can't believe we got the Iman Shumpert highlights right now queued up. Crazy.
We don't have to spend too much time on this. I'm just warming up here.
No, it's just funny to me because, like I said, this is what it comes down to.
Oh, let's see. So
Iman Shumpert be talking crazy sometimes too, though.
I wanted to ask a question about everybody who watched my series called LeBron Plays the Five in Game 5. How many people realized how many times the Lakers made a comeback when LeBron went to the bench? In one fucking game, people. I didn't have to search his career. In one fucking game, in which everyone else got thrown under the bus after that series, except for the guy who lost the lead for them every time he came into the fucking game. God damn. What are other people watching?
Oh my goodness. I've been watching all those, man. That's been great work. Once again, my man Nazar doing his thing.
Let's get to, I see Jimmy James with a super says, anyone who played against MJ or with LeBron equals bum. Right. MJ's competition magically all sucked, and everyone that LeBron played with magically all sucked. At some point, you got to understand that your arguments are just a little too convenient to exist in reality.
I mean, listen, when LeBron James wins the championship and he says that, coming back from that deficit, that made me think I'm the greatest of all time. Like, literally what you're doing is you're downplaying, what your teammates did. When LeBron James wins the championship in 2020 and he starts talking about, I want my damn respect, he's talking about what he wants, what he feels like he's not getting. When everyone thought you were saying that you were making that about Kobe Bryant. You was going to make it all about Kobe. You were going to shout out Kobe. And the first thing you start talking about is you want your damn respect because you felt slighted some way. When you have that persona going on for you, this is why people feel the way that they do. Like I said, when you talk about these kinds of scenarios, we just talked about LH, the players around you. Shout out to Uncut Hoops coming through. Get some Will Purdue highlights for real.
I think in my breakdown of I don't know, what did I call it? I think I showed a highlight of Will Purdue. I think he had a putback shot. I think somebody missed. Maybe he missed the layup and he put back his own shot. Good job, Will. And again, now it's like I'm not trying to shit on Will. I'm not trying to shit on BJ Armstrong, but you bring up an interesting point. What would Michael Jordan do with an Iman Shumpert?
Right.
How would that compare to having a BJ Armstrong?
Like, see, what you're saying, AOH, yo, and once again, shout out to Uncut Hoops, man, and all the work that he does. Thank you for always coming through the live streams, man. It really means a lot that you continue to come through and you listen to some of the stuff that we say. When you're talking about, the teammates, we're talking about Iman Shumpert. What I'm thinking in my mind is that would have been the best version of Iman Shumpert that we would have seen. We would have looked at Iman Shumpert's career and we would have said, you know what, man? When Iman Shumpert played with Michael Jordan, look at how he developed. Look at how he looked when he played with Michael Jordan. He would have been the best version of himself. When you look at someone like Steve Kerr, right? And you look at what Steve Kerr was doing in his career. Steve Kerr was a journeyman, ladies and gentlemen. He was a journeyman. He bounced from several teams and he found a home on the Chicago Bulls, right? But what did ultimately Steve Kerr learn during those years playing alongside Michael Jordan, playing with someone like Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen, the guys that had been through it year after year, someone like Dennis Rodman, being around these kinds of players? He learned a lot. And how did that help Steve Kerr? Well, in fact, it helped him later in his career when he ended up playing with a team like the San Antonio Spurs, and it helped him and contribute to a championship. And look what it done for his coaching career. He's often mentioned times in his career where he's pulled alongside the great players, the Kevin Durant's, the Steph Curry's, and giving them little anecdotes and stories about his time playing alongside Michael Jordan, what he learned from someone like Phil Jackson. When we talk about maximizing and making the guys the best version of yourself, Phil Jackson was indeed the best version of himself because Michael Jordan allowed him to be that way. All of these guys we saw were the best versions of themselves. You're not going to look at any point in time in their career, Scottie Pippen, and be like, oh yeah, Scottie Pippen. When Michael Jordan retired and he went to the Houston Rockets, he was so much better. Everyone does not look better when Michael Jordan left. Think about someone like Hakeem Olajuwon, for example. Hakeem Olajuwon is funny to me because people hype up Hakeem Olajuwon sometimes, and they'll say, well, Hakeem Olajuwon didn't play with anybody. And they'll mention it in terms of the great players. And absolutely, if you want to talk about names on the back of the jerseys. But you're taking away from Hakeem Olajuwon when you're saying this. Because in fact, the greatness, or one of the great things of Hakeem Olajuwon, is that he was able to do the things he was able to do. He was able to be consistent while maximizing the guys that, like you just said, didn't have the big names. So the Robert Ory's, the Mario Ellie's, the Kenny the Jet Smiths, the Vernon Maxwell's, the Otis Thorpes, these guys were the best versions of themselves playing alongside Hakeem Olajuwon. He maximized these lesser guys to a degree that allowed him to be successful. That's greatness for Hakeem Olajuwon. Let's not knock and take away from his greatness by saying, oh, he ain't played with a bunch of bums. Nah, he played with really good role players that played their roles and he maximized them.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about seeing everybody at their best while they were paired up with Jordan, in not limited to players, including coaches. I think you may have mentioned it, or maybe I just thought it, but can you imagine how mad LeBron fans would be talking about this hippie acid-taking fucker who wrote a book called Maverick, and LeBron having to deal with that as a coach, versus years later it being a great story inside of a success documentary. And people can please tell me about Luke Longley's career after the Bulls, Winnington's career after the Bulls, Purdue's career after the Bulls, if you want to make a counter argument. I'd like to read Bugs with a super chat. Thank you for that. Imagine Prime AOH and Prime Sports and Fitness Rants rolling up to the pickup court saying they got next. I'd be shaking in my boots. Well, that's a very kind compliment. I don't know.
I'm still in my prime. Shout out to Bugs for coming through. But I'm still in my prime.
Yeah. Let's take me back a few years. At this point, I can't even deny it. I need to go back a few years.
Baby. I'm on the court now still.
It's not the same. Here's the thing. I used to enjoy, I liked rebounding. I enjoyed rebounding. I got off on jumping and beating people to the ball. I can't even explain why I enjoyed going into mosh pits at this stage in my life. Things have changed. Things have just changed. I don't get the same joy of jumping for 5 hours straight.
About weeds, man. Yo, shout out to anyone that's ever been in a mosh pit before. Yo, man, I've never been in one. I've seen them, but my goodness gracious, man, that's some really crazy stuff right there.
Yeah, and they changed. They changed from being what they were meant to be. It was almost like a friendly violence to these roid boys just said, oh, we're going to show up to these concerts and get in there and hurt people. I mean, it changed.
Yeah, as I'm saying, it get a little crazy, man. I mean, the only thing that I can think of that I've seen or I've been a part of, like in a club setting, not necessarily like an outdoor setting, but like inside of a club or something of that nature, man. Is I remember when I was down in Milton, I was living down in Virginia, and that down there's a different kind of vibe, a different kind of music. It's more of a southern vibe in Virginia as opposed to New York City and New York and the area around New York. But I remember, like, at certain times, like I said, this is the early 2000s. And when you have music and some of the music, they talk about throwing elbows and, guys used to bounce around and they would be bouncing around, throwing bows like that in the club. And, if you got in there and dudes was doing it, man, you might have to shove somebody or, you might get into it with somebody. That's the only thing that I could ever been into or in that, something like a mosh pit, man.
Yeah. If you didn't get into it in the early days, you probably didn't experience, if I can go so far as to say, a good version of moshing. Anyway, Debbie J says, give MJ, Iman, and JR. That's like 2 John Starks.
Yeah, for real, man. Shout out to John Starks, Iman Shumpert, and you guys know how I feel, about John Starks, man. John Starks was that dude, man. He said he was scrappy, he was hard-nosed dude. Listen, man, when you bagging groceries and then you end up in the NBA, guarding Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying, in some of these scenarios, how you think he got there? You think Pat Riley is just putting you there because you ain't qualified to be there? I love when people knock these guys, man. Like, oh, yo, man, he's going job by John Stark. Yo, John Starks was the reason why he was there, man. The dude was putting in the work. He had the respect. Patrick Ewing said Michael Jordan called him up. Don't forget Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan is mad tight. Yo, Patrick Ewing said Michael Jordan called him up in the 93 Eastern Conference Finals and was like, yo, man, apologize to your man because they got into a little scrap. I think it was like game 3 or game 4, whatever one it was. And he called him up on the phone and said, yo, apologize to him, and tell him, I respect him. Much respect to him, man. Yo, he respected John Stark's hustle. I told you, it was never about the name on the back of the jersey for Michael Jordan, man. It was about competing. Michael Jordan brought out the best in all the people that came out to go against him. He got the best of John Starks. That was the best version of John Starks, man, when you're going against Michael Jordan in those moments, man.
Yeah, if Starks hadn't absolutely shit the bed against the Rockets in the finals, I'd have a lot of love for him, but Jesus Christ, what did he go for 2 for like 20 to prevent the Knicks from getting a ring? But
listen, man, the Knicks was up 3 games to 2. We know the deal. But the one thing that we understand about John Starks is in that moment, he was being John Starks.
2 for 20 sounds like a LeBron playoff performance that we don't talk about.
Starks was streaky, man. Like I said, but he always gave the effort, but you never knew when you were going to get shooting the ball from John Starks. But the one thing you never questioned was his heart. It's like I said, even sometimes John Starks would do stupid stuff out there because he was so intense and so competitive.
And here, I'll go somewhere interesting with the John Starks thing. John Starks, even now, when he gets interviewed, I like it. I like hearing him. And you know what that is? That's a sign of a guy that knows he gave it all and he left it all on the floor. He doesn't have that insecurity eating away at him.
Exactly.
Inside. He did not get a championship, and I'm sure that hurts. And I'm sure it hurts to be at the losing end of facing Michael Jordan. But he is not being eaten away at inside the way some of these insecure guys that are constantly podcasting are. Which brings me to Bookie Allen, who mentioned Stacey King called the Mind the Game podcast. He called it Crimea River podcast. I got to tell you, I need more Stacey King. I got to find more Stacey King.
Yo, for real. Yo, shout out to Bookie Allen for putting that in the chat. Shout out to Stacey King, another guy who speaks with a lot of class and dignity when he talks about his time playing with Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls, man. Listen, a lot of these guys understand. When you just mentioned what you talked about in relation to the way that, these guys speak, the way that, he's commented on Michael Jordan, always speaking with class.
AOH gets up early to hate on LeBron. Well, kind of. I get up early so that I can get in my exercise. Hey, Robin, I had a great start. I went for a long time today. I was almost late.
I just want people to say where the hate is. Just Explain it. Just type it out. Where's their hate? You type out what their hate statement was that we said about LeBron James, where we hated on this man. There's no one hating on LeBron James here. There's no one there. Listen, people ain't here to hate on LeBron James. We're giving you the facts. Like I said, we're conversating about the facts, man. If you want to sit here and be educated, then be educated.
I don't even know if he was talking shit or that was a compliment, but
But I'm just saying there's no hate. There's no hate here. No hate.
Yeah.
It's no one. Did I hate on? Are you making up? I said, are you making up video footage? Are we making up video footage? Are we doing that? No. Now, yeah, we might say some hyperbolic statements sometimes. Yeah, you're AOH, man. You're angry old hoops fan, man. You're supposed to be angry. You're supposed to say some crazy stuff, man. And I'm sports and fitness rants. What the hell are you talking about? So once again, we're out here giving you the facts.
I tell you, the people that think that they're revealing something when they're like, "Oh my God, your channel is about this," I'm like, did you read the title?
I mean, think about what you just said about John Starks, AOH. That's very important. When you think about how he speaks about the way he played the game, he's very secure in the way, and like you said, the effort that he gave. He doesn't feel like he shortchanged himself by giving half-ass effort. He ain't looking back on it now like, yeah, no, I was nice like that, but I just, I was under the circumstances. What do you want? No, man. He was like, yo, I was going against Michael Jordan. He's like, but I was out there. I was going to give him my all. I was going to compete. And Michael Jordan knew that. Like I said, he earned the respect, not only of Michael Jordan, but of the New York Knicks fans out there.
Praise the Dawn. This is a shout out to you from the 757, 2 up, 2 down.
Yo,
I guess that's an area code.
I say shout to VA. I said I was out there living in VA. That's the area code for VA, 757. So shout out to everybody in VA. I was living down in Virginia Beach. But I remember I was hanging out the base in Norfolk, Virginia, man. I was in all these towns, man. P-Town and, like I said, all these different places. Newport News. All these different towns that I was hanging out, man. And VA Beach, man, had the strip down there. And there were some clubs down there. Like I said, we was getting in.
Dana Green says, Michael Jordan beat more 60-win and 50 wins than anyone in history. What are you talking about? I don't know the rest of that conversation. I'm just reading the part that you contributed. Lazy
right, man.
says,
that's right. Those are the facts. I told you in the 90s, man, more 60-win teams.
LeBron is undergoing vaginal rejuvenation therapy today. No, that's just mean. Come on, people.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not today. It's tomorrow. So the rest of what I've got, well, let's see what Italian in Laguna says. He's got a long one. Stacey King will always be a legend for his famous quote, "I will always remember the night Jordan and I combined for 70 points. King scored 1 point that night." I'd love to be able to get the local feed, because doesn't Stacey King do announcing for the Bulls now?
I feel like he does do some of this stuff, yeah. Like I said, a shout out to a lot of these guys that continue to, carry themselves, like I said, with the dignity, with the pride, with the class, and the way that they speak about themselves. Like I said, you don't have to pump up Michael Jordan. They're not pumping these guys up and, creating some false narratives and trying to rewrite the history. They're giving you the facts, man. Like I said, they're giving you the truth. They're not giving you the emotions and feelings, man. They're giving you the real, man. Like some of these guys, what did they do? Will Perdue, what he say in The Last Dance? He was like, yeah, was Michael Jordan an a-hole? Was Michael Jordan a jerk? Was Michael Jordan this? Did he cross the line? Did he say X, Y, Z? Yeah, he said those things. He goes, but did it work? Yeah, it worked. He's like, yeah, and we're all champions because of it. So, like, once again, like they understand. It's like I told you guys, when I was in the military, I often related the way Michael Jordan treated his teammates in practice and all these drills, as going through attrition. And I remember in boot camp, now I'm not saying that this is the military or anything. I'm not trying to relate it that way. But I'm talking about the result that you're trying to get, the way you're trying to go about that result. And that's the way Michael Jordan doing that. You're talking about a standard you're holding, so you're getting a result. So when you're in boot camp, they're holding you to a strict, very strict standard. Everything you do is under a microscope. Everything you do is timed. Everything you do is graded. Everything you do is looked at. Everything you do. Everything is on a clock. Everything, man. So once again, you're held to a certain standard. Why? Because they want a certain result. At the end of all of this, they want you to be a sailor, a soldier, whatever they're looking for, man. So Michael Jordan was looking for being a champion. So those are the things that he did. He required these people to do certain things. There were a lot of things said to me when I was in boot camp. There were a lot of things done to us when I was in boot camp, man, that wasn't necessarily nice. That wasn't necessarily like, yeah, I love these people, man. But I respected them because I understood what they were trying to do, and I understood that there was only way that they can do it.
King Speech says Jordan also only got beat by high 50-plus win teams. Shout out to King Speech. Thanks for being here.
King Speech Raw, for real. Come with the facts. Yeah, Michael Jordan wasn't out there getting beat by, like I said, these teams that weren't supposed to beat him. Like I always tell people all the time, like if Michael Jordan and the 86 Bulls beat the 86 Celtics in the first round, they would have ran Larry Bird out of town, man. Like, come on, what are we talking about here?
So from here on out, I'm just going to go through a list of what I saw you put out that we haven't talked about. I don't know if you still want to talk about any of it, but I'll
hell yeah.
Here's a few of them that I read. No Chill Gill versus Kwame Brown. LeBron and his wife doing Pilates. Jimmy X High Roller backing Bleacher Report. Any of those bothering you more than the other today, or do you want to hit us with a fresh one?
Well, no, we could talk about the Jimmy High Roller thing quickly because that allows us to talk about multiple players. We don't have to talk about, LeBron James or, hate on LeBron, poor LeBron James. So let's talk about that. The focus of that video. And as you guys know, I'm not a fan of Jimmy High Roller. I'm not saying that his content is zero quality. I don't know his content well enough. But the things that I have seen, the things that people have sent me that they wanted me to talk about, I'm not on board with. Like I said, so I'm not a supporter of this man's channel. All right, so let me make that clear up the top. What he talks about in this video is the burden on a lot of these publications, these pages, these channels to come out with a top 10, a top 20, a top 50, a top 75, a top 100 list in this instance, right? In this case, as far as the Bleacher Report. So essentially what he's saying in this video, and I watched the entire video, because once again, if I'm going to do a video on someone or have an opinion, on a video that they've done and someone sent me something, I'm going to watch the entire video so that I can't, shortchange myself or shortchange them. So the conclusion that he came up with at the end of the video is that the Bleacher Report was in fact a very good list and the most accurate list that he thinks is out there right now as it relates to rankings. And the reason that he gave for him, like I said, backing up this list essentially is that he talked about the averages. So what he's saying is that if you take a vote and you have people vote on something and, he was talking about in relation to, how people view the greatest players of all time as far as rankings and, the criteria for some of these rankings. And he was talking about how oftentimes a lot of this criteria is split down the middle. So he's saying that if you're taking the average on some of these things, that's really where you're going to get the right answer, right in between what the people are saying, right? So he's saying that the Bleacher Report did a great job at this because whoever was involved in these rankings, whether it was the employees or, like I said, whoever, was involved in making this list, I didn't realize this. When you look at the list, what it says is it gives the players a ranking 1 through 100. But if you look after the summary of the player, their accolades, whatever the case may be, they have two numbers, right? And the numbers represent where they were ranked highest in the voting and where they were ranked lowest in the voting. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but for example, let's say I think Charles Barkley or Karl Malone was ranked 20th or 17th at the highest or something like that. But then at the lowest ranking, they were ranked 72nd. So what you're saying essentially is that you're saying that there were 71 better players in the NBA at that time in the NBA's history than Karl Malone. I can't remember. I think it was Karl Malone, if I'm not mistaken. But essentially what he's saying is they're taking the average of where the people were ranking these players. And he's saying that that's an accurate way to come up with the rankings. But my problem, once again, is what he said in his video. And I know I'm talking for a long time, Airways. Forgive me, man.
No.
But what he said in the video in the beginning was that when you look at how long a lot of these people, you take a poll and you look at how long a lot of these people have been watching the NBA, right? He said the average was between 7 and 9 years. So if you're saying that the average is between 7 and 9 years of actual watching the NBA or knowing about the NBA's history or the experience of knowing the game, then really what the hell do you know about what the hell you're talking about? So I'm talking about these rankings and the people who are doing these rankings. How long have they actually been watching the game? Or have they only been watching the game 7 to 9 years or the last 10 years? This is what their rankings are based off of? So I really don't understand, because when I looked at some of those numbers, when I looked at this again, because I didn't look at the first time, some of the guys' rankings were so far, like there was too big of a gap between them that it's insane that they could be ranked that low in someone's mind. And like when you talk about how some of these players are going to be ranked, what does that do for someone like LeBron James, where his highest rank was number 1, right? People ranked him for the greatest of all time, and his lowest rank, I believe, was, I want to say, 3.
Hey, did the Lakers really just sign Al Horford?
I don't know. I didn't even breaking news to me if it is.
I just scrolling through looking for the Iman Shumpert flop, because that fucking thing was hilarious. I'll just give a simpler reaction to it. Everything you said was spot on and great, but if you have LeBron at number 2, I don't take you seriously. I'm not going to take your list seriously. There's just too many people that belong at number 2. And the only way you put LeBron at number 2 is through making excuses for why failure was actually success. He's just been like, his failures have been so epic. Like his failures they haven't been bad. They've been epic, and they've been repeated, epic, repeated failures. That has to counter any great moments. You don't just get to ignore the failure. That just doesn't seem fair when you're making a list. Someone who has failed his team that many times and on that level can't be number 2. LeBron could have 7 chips. If he still had as many failures as he's had, I'm still going to question whether or not he gets to be at number 2, because he still has cost. When he has succeeded, he has stacked the deck in his favor, which means that without stacking the deck, he's the guy that fails his team when the moment depends on greatness. That's what LeBron means to me. He's the guy that you can expect to come up short more than you can expect him to come up big. How can you possibly put someone who fits that description at number 2?
That's what I'm saying there, Wage. I mean, like I said, you're talking about and it wasn't just him. I focused on the top 20 guys in my initial video. This Jimmy High Roller stuff, like I said, for him to say that this was the most accurate way for them to come out with this list, that's one way to come out with a list. But to me, like I said, like we said, Shaq's lowest ranking was 9, if I remember correctly. So essentially, in essence, all of these people that were voting on this list, they didn't have Shaq outside the top 9. Not even outside the top 9. So when you talk about that, he was ranked higher than Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. I don't remember this being that way, where they're ranking these guys, or some of these people are putting Shaq above, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. They had Dr. J at 20. We talked about some of these things that was crazy. They had Kevin Durant at like 13 or something. So like I said, regardless of whatever formula he thinks that they came up with, that's what I'm saying with a lot of these big channels and some of these guys, man. They have no cachet to me.
How did LeBron pass Tim Duncan? I mean, we could spend a pretty good amount of time on that. Period.
Right, exactly. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know when he passed a lot of these guys. That's the conversation that was never had. Like I said, even the Kobe Bryant stuff, all of a sudden, Kobe Bryant's been passed. He been passed. What do you mean he been past him? How did he been past these dudes? You ever notice that's what Nick Wright always says? Oh, he been past Michael Jordan. He passed Michael Jordan years ago. What do you mean? This dude literally said, I'm chasing the ghost years ago. But Nick Wright is telling us that he been past Michael Jordan. LeBron James is still chasing Michael Jordan. That's why LeBron James is still out there chasing these corny stats. That's the only reason why he's out there doing this. But Nick Wright talking about, he been past these guys.
And, I'll bring up the timing of this list again, because I noted that a couple of people had dropped LeBron lower on their lists. Next thing you know, Bleacher Report just pushes out a list that revalidates LeBron and shits on other people, interestingly enough, at the same time. I mean, it's almost like childish cat fighting with lists. Like they no longer take the list seriously. It's about manipulating lists for political reasons, I guess you could say, social impact reasons.
Yeah, they like you said, they move people on lists, and no one understands why. Things change, like they talked about with the Kobe stuff. All of a sudden, Kobe Bryant is being moved, and now all of a sudden, Kobe Bryant's not great, or he wasn't the best player at any time in the NBA. Like, we really trying to say that Kobe Bryant was never the best player in the NBA? Like, I don't understand it. But then you'll see these articles when they voted Kobe Bryant the best player of the decade. So I don't understand how they're going to sit there and lie, someone like Gilbert Arenas and some of these other clowns out here on these, like I said, these big publications, and they'll say, oh, Kobe Bryant was never even the best player in the NBA. That's an asinine statement.
I actually screenshot a couple of comments that I thought were pretty good from other videos, and I'm going to share them. Jose says, LeBron does make role players better. 2007 Tony Parker, MVP. 2014, young Kawhi Leonard, MVP. 2011, Jason, runner-up for MVP. I didn't even know that. 2015, Iguodala, MVP.
Goodness gracious. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
God damn it, dude. What the fuck?
I mean, listen, that's the facts. Everybody gets improved.
2025 playoffs, Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert all of a sudden becomes an all-world player. Rudy Gobert looks in. I mean, Rudy Gobert plays so good that they were out there making excuses for LeBron James on ESPN, on Fox Sports. They were out there covering for LeBron James. Hey, man, LeBron James out there playing, man. They got LeBron James playing down low. They got LeBron James playing out of position. They ain't got no size. You talk about all the time, Airways, in your Game 5 rewind, and the thing you're talking about. And you're talking about how all they keep saying during the freaking broadcast is how little and small the Lakers are. When you're literally looking on the court and everyone's the same size. And if anything, like you said, the Lakers have an advantage in the backcourt. Come on, man.
And this shows that there is still some LeBron influence there. Maybe it's the Genie Bus thing, but like JJ Redick's decision-making was dreadful. The Lakers had 6'11", 6'10", and multiple 7-footers on the bench who had shown that they can play. And JJ's experiment failed. And it failed the game before. And then he stuck with his experiment. It was a failure. And we have to listen to JJ Redick being some sort of a coaching savant even now. JJ Redick should be fired. No one else survives doing that shit in the playoffs. And 2 points. You backed up what I was trying to show, that even when the announcers were saying the Lakers were small, they were still the same size. 2, the Lakers had size and made a decision not to use it. Yep. It clearly wasn't a good decision. But, I mean, Jesus Christ, you should have actually been able to get away with a decision that bad against the Timberwolves, because the Timberwolves were just terrible. They were fucking terrible, which brings me to another message I'd like to read. If you traded LeBron James for almost any other max contract player in the league, the Lakers win that series. I agree. And again, people will say that I'm hating, but have you looked at my game breakdowns? Replace that dude with any other max player, and you don't think that there's going to be a better result? I mean, he was bad. He was bad. You have to argue that all other max contract players in the league are as bad as what I just showed you for this not to be true. Everybody check that you haven't been unsubbed. YouTube unsubscribed me. Jesus Christ. So I'm just sharing that warning. There's a lot of weird shit happening, people. And like I said, YouTube's had me leave comments that I didn't fucking type. I mean, God only knows what's happening out there.
Yeah, that does happen. Absolutely. A shout out to you guys for letting people know.
People getting unsubbed without unsubbing. And I'll add, you also have to click the notification bell. I still don't know if you'll get notified, but subbing isn't enough.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, exactly. I never even say that stuff. Like I said, I don't even know about these notification bells and some of these other things. So yeah, so shout out. I guess click the bells.
And if you weren't listening earlier, our plan for Sunday, the meat and potatoes of the show, I'm sure we'll have a lot of other stuff to talk about, is going to be looking at the LeBron fan promoted rumor that LeBron played great defense on Jokic in the Olympics, which is easily debunked. It just isn't so easy to get published without copyright strikes. Anyway, we're going to try to show it to you by going live and analyzing it on Sunday.
Word. Hey, I want to go
Yeah.
back real quick to what you were saying about LeBron James and on the defense and the things that you were breaking down in the last couple of videos that you released. When they talk about LeBron James and him being able to play all these positions, and they're talking about the evolution of LeBron James, right? And they'll say, oh, LeBron James playing the power forward now. LeBron James playing the center. He can move around. He can do these different things. I want everybody to understand, just because they list him at a position on paper, he's listed at center, he's listed at power forward, they actually got him, playing there. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's guarding these people. He's out there doing it. Yep. Because we've seen LeBron James listed at point guard before, right? Is LeBron James guarding point guards? He ain't guarding point guards out there on the basketball court. LeBron James ain't doing that stuff, man. He wasn't guarding point guards, man. They list him at point guard. LeBron James always played point guard. Where's LeBron James not play point guard's career? Let's be honest here. Where's he not playing point guard? The man's always got the ball in his hand. He do whatever he wants. The man can make it rain out there. All right, he's LeBron freaking James, man. He's been playing the point guard position. He's been playing every damn position on paper his whole damn career. That's the problem. This dude wants to play all the damn positions. He wants credit for everything. He don't want to give up none of this stuff. He don't want to sacrifice. He don't want to be that kind of guy. So get other guys recognition so they could get some shine. So they could do their thing, man. No, he don't want none of this stuff, man. So LeBron James is going to go out there and be listed at these positions. But he's not guarding these people, man. Like they mentioned, someone talked about one of the comments, talking about who the other players, how he made them better. Tony Parker outscored LeBron James in the finals. Think about what I just said. I don't want to hear about LeBron James' age. Tony Parker outscored LeBron James in the finals handedly and went out there and earned the finals MVP, man. That's all LeBron James, man. So he made Tony Parker look a lot better. What did he do for Andre Iguodala? What did he do for Kawhi Leonard? He ain't playing no defense on these guys. He wasn't stepping up on the other side of the ball. Damn what you're doing offensively. He was missing shots against Andre Iguodala and all that stuff, but you didn't lock up Andre Iguodala. You didn't hold him in check to keep your team on top. You didn't do it. Michael Jordan always took the challenge, man, on both sides of the ball. So them games where he was, 5 for 23, or Michael Jordan was 7 for 35, and he was having one of those nights shooting the ball. You knew that Michael Jordan was going to guard his man, and he was going to play great help defense. He was going to be available. He was going to be there on both sides, man, to help lead his team, man. He's guarding the point guards. He's doing this. He's playing that help D. LeBron James ain't stepping up like that.
The Warriors, with the help of LeBron James's failure, resurrected Iguodala's career. Like Iguodala was kind of like fading out. Like you weren't hearing about Iguodala anymore. And then, hey, let's put you on LeBron James and you can get a finals MVP. He wasn't ancient, but he was 30 when he joined the Warriors. I feel like a LeBron fan would call that too old or complain about it.
Exactly. Like I said, shout out to Andre Iguodala and all those guys that played their roles, man. They went out there and did it. What LeBron James fans say to knock Andre Iguodala and him getting that finals MVP, and yeah, people can debate whether Steph Curry should have gotten it or whatever. The reason why Andre Iguodala ended up getting it is because the impact he had, but not only the impact he had numbers-wise, but on both sides of the ball and in the moments that he had the impact. So he forced LeBron James into a lot of tough shots, and he, in fact, made some key baskets that LeBron James couldn't stop him from making. So when you talk about what LeBron James didn't do, when you talk about what Andre Iguodala actually did, man, he went out there and earned that on LeBron James, directly playing against him.
And, I was pretty angry at the offensive fouls that LeBron's been getting away with for a long time. And he was doing it back then against Iguodala, just like smashing into him. And not to reduce the excellence of his defense, but a big part of Andre playing defense was just being a solid enough person to be able to take the punishment and stay there. I hate to say it like that, but like part of playing defense against LeBron James is taking the offensive foul without your sternum breaking.
Word.
Morris with the super chat. Thank you, sir. They've managed to brainwash the young and change the argument for stat totals over everything else. Yeah.
Exactly, for real. They're trying to rewrite history, and that's why we got to stop these narratives and lies. Shout out to Iman Shumpert for coming through.
I often joke about, leaving a pickup game after losing and then saying, yeah, but remember how old I was, and let's all sit. Yeah. I joke about these things, but we might not be that far from a time where people, instead of looking at the score, sit down and compare stats. Well, did you really win? Did you really win? Do you remember? Do you remember how many points I scored last time I was here? We're going to start factoring that type of shit into the fact that you continue to lose now. Yeah, but remember 3 years ago, I had a good game.
I mean, anyone that plays sports knows. You're making me laugh right now. When you talk about the feeling you get from playing sports, that feeling that you get from playing sports is from competing and knowing inside that you gave a good effort. Right, that you went out there and gave a good effort, man. You go out there, you run around, you play sports, you gave a good effort, man. You went out there, you competed, man. You lost the game, right? Maybe you didn't make a single shot. You're out there playing 3-on-3. You didn't make a single basket out there. But you still feel good about the effort you gave. That's often what sports is about. When I look at LeBron James, man, and you look at the effort that he's giving out there, he's half-assing it. He's lollygagging. A lot of these times, like I said, for him to be the level of player that he is, for them to talk about the level of longevity that he has, I don't want to see you lollygagging and, like I said, standing around arguing with the referee while the play's going on behind you. That's not what we're talking about. That's not being a competitor. That's not going out there and giving that level of effort. So those are things that we're always talking about.
Rick Kramer comments with a super chat. Thank you. When it comes to greatness, Jordan is Michael Jackson and LeBron is Milli Vanilli. And that record is skipping its ass off thanks to thanks for the show, guys. Thanks for the comment.
Exactly. And remember what happened to Milli Vanilli and everything that happened to them. And, they're known as being one of those one-hit wonders that ended up being fraudulent and, not really, whatever. We all know about Milli Vanilli and stuff, right? But ultimately, we talk about LeBron James. What we're talking about, the paper champion LeBron James, man. But like I said, fraudulent.
See, I just saw a comment from Shakira Austin, WNBA, saying the NBA was done after Jordan retired, so they hyped up LeBron and Kobe to get up more views. The thing is, indeed, losing Jordan is a tough blow, but I never considered the NBA done. Like, I never thought, oh, Jordan's gone, I'm going to stop watching. I never, ever, ever thought that way. I was happy to see who was next. Now, it didn't help that they had a lockout year shortly after, and then, and the Spurs won in the lockout year. But I was still tuning in, and I was tuning in right after that. And then I had a new person to cheer against in Kobe Bryant not very long later, which, it's not the knock Kobe, but I'm just admitting I cheered against Kobe. I cheered against Jordan at the end of Jordan's career. I tend to cheer for underdogs.
Yeah, a shout out to Shakira on what she had said there. The thing about, the clicks and the views and the promotion of LeBron James, my thing has always been this. The LeBron James hype or whatever it is, it's always at the expense of other players. It's always at the expense of Kobe Bryant or at the expense of Michael Jordan or the 90s or some of these past players. So when they promote LeBron James for the clicks and views, it's because they say these outlandish takes. And they try to make it seem as if, oh, man, I know the game, man. I'm an ex-NBA player, man. I'm telling you the facts here. So they say some crazy stuff for the clicks and views, but at the expense of the other great players, at the expense of the NBA's history, in fact. So, yeah, I'm on board with promoting LeBron James. If they want to put a LeBron James highlight film, if they want to promote LeBron James in year 22 or going into year 23, and they want to keep the facts, then no doubt about it. But every time that they talk about LeBron James, it's some weird made-up stat that doesn't exist. I mean, they just make these stats up. Oh, he's got this 10-point streak going. They love to keep promoting this nonsense. It doesn't make any sense to me, the things that they talk about for LeBron James. And like I said, whenever they want to promote him, they must do it at the expense of other players.
You just made me think about his ESPY speech. And that ESPY speech was one of the most cringe things that I've ever heard. But let's think about why we had to hear that in the first place. He basically got an award for being old and still playing. Well, that's kind of a bullshit award. It's like, hey, let's wait until all the other old people aren't. I mean, who else were you going to give it to? Oh, here's an award for being the oldest guy in the NBA. And I joked in my recent breakdown. I was like, are the ESPYs going to give him that again? Because no one else is going to be older than him magically next year. You keep giving the same award over and over again, such as the games played, playoff games played, hours played, minutes played. Are they going to talk about how many milliseconds LeBron has logged on the court next and give another award? I mean, I'm just trying to go back to what you said. The type of stats that they pretend are important are pretty disturbing.
I mean, I'm sorry, LH, I just did a video recently, like a couple of days ago, how that was sent to me on Instagram. And these, like I said, these are from big pages, thousands and thousands of followers and subscribers on a lot of these things. And literally the title of the video was this, it says unbelievable LeBron James stat. And that's what it's labeled as. And I'm like, okay, what is this nonsense that someone's sending me?
Oh boy.
And you know what it was, LH? They were talking about LeBron James since 1996 has more playoff wins than any other team in the NBA during that time. So they're saying that's unbelievable. LeBron James, more playoff wins than any other team since 1996. And the one guy was like, well, LeBron James didn't make the playoffs till 2006, his first time. He's like, so he gave the whole league a 10-year head start, and he was still able to get more playoff wins. And I started laughing. I'm like, this is weird to me because the LeBron James fans are the first people to tell us that Michael Jordan 6-0 in the championships is a team accomplishment. Anytime you point to LeBron James losing in the finals, oh, it's a team. The team lost. But when they talk about the playoff wins, once again, I've never heard this before a day in my life. A made-up stat. How many playoff wins did Larry Bird have? How many playoff wins did Bill Russell have? How many playoffs did Kobe Bryant have? How many playoff wins did Tim Duncan have? I don't freaking know. No one gives a damn. But they celebrate LeBron James. And I asked, so that must mean that LeBron James has more championships than any other franchise since that time? But does he in fact? No, he does not.
I mean, you basically just brought up something very important. You have to talk about something else when the true rewards aren't there. Because why don't I know how many playoff wins Michael Jordan has had? Like, I don't. Why not? If this is important, how do I not fucking know that? It's not. We don't talk about these things. And as you talked about the teammates, LeBron's early Cavs teams would be like 60-win teams, 61, 65-win teams, or whatever it was. They would be number one. They'd be number one. Your team leader has to be the guy who's accountable for why you can't continue that success when it matters the most. You don't get to suddenly turn around and be like, oh, it wasn't him in this case. But they do. And myself, Uncut Hoops, others, we show you the teammates were doing their part. It's LeBron who shit the bed. I'm showing it to you. I'm not just sitting here making up shit. I'm showing it to you. Why do you want to believe a lie so badly? Roland Curtis off Vermont Avenue with a super. Did it hurt Kobe Bryant's legacy and the comparison to Michael Jordan because Kobe won 1 MVP to Jordan's 5 MVPs and Kobe won 2 scoring titles to Jordan's 10? So did it hurt Kobe being compared to Jordan? Is that the basic question?
I think that's what a shout to Roland Curtis. Listen, I don't know if it hurt Kobe Bryant. I think maybe there were a lot of people that didn't like Kobe Bryant originally because of the comparisons to Michael Jordan. But why was that ultimately? Because Kobe Bryant ultimately was a true, real threat to Michael Jordan's image and to Michael Jordan to a degree where Kobe Bryant was viewed and compared to Michael Jordan. See, this is what we're saying. When you hear some of these fools come out here and talk, they're attempting to rewrite the history. Let's be very clear. Kobe Bryant was not gifted like Michael Jordan. He wasn't blessed with the athletic abilities of Michael Jordan. He didn't have the hands of Michael Jordan, the arm length of Michael Jordan, the quickness, the jumping ability, the speed of Michael Jordan. But he had the work ethic, he had the mind, he had the toughness, he had the heart, he had the grit, right? He had the 1-2. So when you talk about all those things, with Kobe Bryant, man, ultimately being compared to Michael Jordan might have hurt his popularity a little bit with some of the Jordan fans. I know a lot of Jordan people that say, yeah, I didn't really like Kobe Bryant at first because he was trying to be like Michael Jordan. And people kind of took it as a slight or a knock because who you think you are trying to go after Michael Jordan this way? But when you look at the interactions between Kobe Bryant before Michael Jordan retired the first time around, you see that Kobe Bryant was earning the respect of these guys. They were talking about him before the All-Star game. They're like, yo, you know this young guy's going to come out here and start going after people. So he kind of earned that respect by going at these dudes and being that level of competitor. You have to respect a competitor. Everyone does. If you're competing, you respect it,
Absolutely.
man, especially if you go about it the right way.
I actually thought Kobe was pretty athletic. I thought he was known for being athletic. But let's talk about
not
how
like Jordan. Not like Jordan.
No, okay, all right. Let's talk about how easily manipulated human beings are, because I would say that being compared to Jordan is a good thing just because you have put it in people's minds. And for a while people want to pretend this didn't happen. For a while, they introduced the idea that Kobe might be better than Jordan. That took place. That happened. Anyway, my real point is that them pretending that there's a debate between Jordan and LeBron has been huge for LeBron. It keeps him in people's mouths and plants this idea that, wow, even if he isn't number one, he has to be number two. He's got to be one of the greatest. He does not fit in the conversation. Easily not top 10 for me. Certainly not number two for me. But they keep talking about it as if it's a no-brainer. That helps LeBron James. So as long as you're manipulating people's minds and you're, without even saying it directly, you're saying he belongs in there. He's the best or almost the best. And I'll leave it up to you guys to argue whether or not he's the best or not. He shouldn't even be getting discussed as the best, in my opinion.
I mean, and they mentioned the MVPs in that comment. You know, Kobe Bryant and the one MVP. You know, yeah, we talked about a lot of this stuff before, right? With the storylines and the narratives and, you know, the popularity sometimes and why some of these guys may not get an award. You know, it might be close and things of that nature. Let's give some respect to the era that Kobe played in. You know, some of the guys that were vying for these awards, the Allen Iversons, the Jason Kidds, the Tim Duncans, the Kevin Garnetts, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Dirk Nowitzkis, you know, some of these great players that were in the league, you know, ultimately, you know, the Dwayne Wades, the LeBron Jameses, and, you know, some of these other guys that were coming into the league, the Kevin Durant's. So let's give some respect to some of those guys that were in the voting for a lot of this. But also, like we talked about, you know, like I said, the popularity of Kobe Bryant because of some of the things that may have happened during his career. You know, what's really sad for me, you know, and what a lot of the LeBron James fans do to Kobe Bryant. You want to talk about hating on Kobe Bryant? You want to talk about hate? The things that they talk about with Kobe Bryant in relation is off the court stuff. And listen, man, I'm not here to, like I said, make someone look innocent or someone guilty or anything. That's none of my business, man. And whatever, like I said, whatever transpired, man. The one thing that I understand, the one thing I always will say is that I've never judged LeBron James on a personal level like this, man. So when they pump up LeBron James for being a great husband and great father, I laugh at this stuff because ultimately we don't know these things. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Everything that I've seen publicly leads me to believe LeBron James is not a great husband or a great father, even though they promote him as such. But there's never been a personal thing. I don't wish harm on LeBron James, any of this stuff. The stuff you hear from LeBron James fans in relation to Kobe Bryant, they laugh at his death. They talk about this stuff like it's nothing. It's the same thing they do to Michael Jordan and his father and all the circumstances surrounding him. So when we talk about these players and we talk about the popularity that they may have had or didn't have, the one thing that Michael Jordan always did have was the popularity of the people. He always had that. Even with the gambling, even with everything going on around Michael Jordan, he was still that dude. And Kobe Bryant always carried himself to me with the dignity, man, and with the honor. So, yeah, you're going to make mistakes, man, and Kobe Bryant made some mistakes, and ain't no one perfect.
King's Speech with the Super. LeBron has 2 individual stat titles. By comparison, Jordan has 13. Curry has 18. Wilt has 27. Russell has 7. With Wilt as comp, what is LeBron the GOAT of? I don't know. Longevity.
Exactly, King's Speech, Roll. We question the same thing, but I had this fool Jamie Foxx over here talking about goat cheese and goat milk. I mean, like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? The goat of what, dude? He's drinking goat cheese and eating goat milk, eating goat cheese and drinking goat milk. Come on, man.
What?
Jamie Foxx lost his mind, man. See, these guys just say crazy stuff in the name of LeBron James. That doesn't
The Jamie Foxx? The Jamie Foxx?
That's like the Jamie Foxx.
Oh, no.
That's right.
Oh, no. Ia Morris says, Player A, who averaged 23 points for 20 years for a total of 37,720 points, is better than player B, who averaged 30 for 15 for a total of 36,9. That's the LeBron fan mentality. Salute, fellas.
Yo, for real. Shout out to Iman Morris. Exactly. This is what I'm saying, man. LeBron James been out there lollygagging, jogging around, while Michael Jordan was out there hustling. A lot of the great players was hustling. Bill Russell was hustling, man. He wasn't lollygagging. You didn't have to wait for Bill Russell to get across half court because he was crying with the referee, because he was pounding, moaning, or standing there like this. He was the guy that yelled at people for doing that.
Yep. Great point. I didn't mention this one, but I saw this was on your list. Bilf. I don't know what.
Yeah, shout out to Bilf, man.
How cringe is this Harden and China adventure, which took me by surprise when I saw that thumbnail on your channel. I was like, Jesus, what is this about? I don't even know. Go ahead. Catch us up. I don't know what this bullshit is.
Yo, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. This is why I love you guys. This is why I love doing the show, man. Like I said, we talk about everything, man. You know that.
I don't even want to know half the time, man. I don't even want to know.
That's why I'm here, LH. That's why we are here. That's why we are the dynamic duo, man.
Okay.
So anyway, if you guys don't know, if you haven't seen the video on my channel, apparently Adidas, in conjunction, with some, designers and, some artists out in China, they built James Harden his own court, an actual court with James Harden, full length James Harden standing on the court. That's right. I'm not lying. You guys know Adidas and James Harden got this partnership. There was, like I said, some artist that designed this or whatever it was, and they built a freaking court for James Harden. I want everybody to understand, James Harden, who we all understand, is one of the greatest chokers of his era, of all time. There's a guy who comes up small in big moments. Oftentimes, James Harden. This man has never won anything in the NBA. James Harden's not a champion. He's won nothing in the NBA. And he has a court built for him. If anybody's from China that's in the chat right now, what the hell's wrong with y'all, man? What the hell y'all doing out there? And that's no knock on that dude, the artist, the designer. I can't remember his name. There's no knock on the Chinese guy who designed the court. I'm not knocking these guys. That doesn't make any sense. How does James Harden qualify? How did he deserve to get a basketball court in his honor? It was a tribute to James Carter. A tribute to what? The traveling, the 5-step back threes, the flopping, the choking.
They've been influenced.
The coming into camp out of shape, the not having any leadership.
Am I crazy, or does that painting of him actually show a pooch belly a little bit? Even in the tribute to him, they couldn't hide the pooch belly.
I mean, I said in my video, if they would have built a tribute court outside of one of these strip clubs that James Harden is notorious for being at, I'd have had no problem with it, because that would mean he contributed to that court. He's putting money in the strip club. When a lot of these guys tell me, you hear a lot of these guys talk about, yeah, we're going there to eat food. The food's really good there. I laugh at these fools, man. Stop playing, man. Stop it right now. Y'all ain't going there for the food, man. All right, come on, man. What are we doing here? So if they would have built a court outside the strip joint, at Magic City or something like that for James Harden, then no doubt, shout out to them. But to build this in China, Adidas, what are y'all doing?
I want to blame being influenced by American sports media that has pushed the idea that stats are that important, because James Harden has stats. He's not a winner, but he's accumulated. I mean, that's the only. I don't want to spend any more time on this. That's
Yo,
the
it's
best
a
I
nice
could.
court, but it's got a full-length picture of James Harden on it, man. Come on.
Yeah, I don't want to spend any more time
Just
on that.
build the
That's
court
crazy.
and don't put his body on it. And just say, put a little plaque on the fence or something. And say this is a fence in tribute to James Harden, a guy who's won nothing in the NBA, but we're going to build the court in China. Why they didn't build the court in America? Why they build it in China? James Harden's American, isn't he?
I don't have the answer.
Come on, man. Because they would never let them build it in America. No one would have authorized that. They would have said, what do you want to build? We ain't giving them no damn funds for no James Harden basketball court. We ain't chopping down no trees here for that nonsense. Come on, man.
Well, I get that. I just don't think that gives China a good motivation either, though.
Nah, I'm just joking with that stuff. You know me. I'm just.
So Jessica McKenzie with the super says, when I was watching MJ, I wasn't thinking about stats. I was just enjoying the game because it was good entertainment and the GOAT was a true competitor. It was must see TV. It was the type of shit where you planned your day around. It was.
Yo, shout out to Jessica McKenzie. You run the money. I mean, think about it. Larry Bird, a guy that we talk about a lot. We bring his name up a lot, right? One of the great players. Larry Bird's known for having 50, 40, 90 seasons, but Larry Bird wasn't playing for 50, 40, 90 seasons. These guys were doing these things, like I said, in the process while they were playing the game. It wasn't something that they were looking at or chasing. Mark Price, for example, has a 50, 40, 90 season in his NBA career. But no one talks about Mark Price and the things that he was able to do on the basketball court. Like I said, someone like Mark Price, and shout out to Mark Price, because I was probably going to drop a video on Mark Price. But, you know, someone like him, when you think about what he could do in an era like today, you know, regardless of the lack of physicality and stuff like that, I'm talking about what he would be allowed to do in this era with the space, you know, with the ability to be able to shoot this many threes. Mark Price was a knockdown shooter, man. And like I said, he was out there doing 50, 40, 90 when it wasn't a thing that guys were necessarily chasing or thinking about. They just played the game.
Do you want to read Roland Curtis?
Absolutely. Shout out to Roland Curtis. Jordan's 1993 NBA Finals had one of the highest viewership ratings ever at 17.9. Jordan retired. The 1994 NBA Finals viewership fell by 31% to 12.4. Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. A shout to Roland Curtis. We know about the Jordan effect and what Michael Jordan meant to the game, right? So when you take Michael Jordan away from the game is going to take a hit because Michael Jordan was that guy. When we talk about bringing in people who didn't watch basketball, no one did that more than Michael Jordan, man.
Which means I have to go back to what Shakira said earlier. You know, whether I was willing to watch the game or not, you can't. I got to say that I'm sure the NBA got scared when they saw this happen the first time. And yeah, I can't deny that. I'm sure it influenced their thinking. But again, I mean, what are we talking about at that point? We're talking about money. We're talking about the pursuit of money, and it ended up hurting the overall product.
Yeah, but a drop off like that from a Michael Jordan, like I said, that just speaks in his respect to Michael Jordan and the magnitude of athlete. Michael Jordan is like nothing we've ever seen in any sport. But we knew as fans that the NBA was going to be okay. And why did we think that? We thought that and we believed that because of the players that were still there, the greatness that they had shown, right? And the great players that had just come into the league. So we ultimately felt that the NBA was going to be okay.
Praise the Dawn says YouTube's tripping. I sent 3 super chats and it never posted. I don't know what to say except that I'm not surprised. There's a lot of weird stuff happening.
That's terrible, man.
We might even, I don't know. I'm starting to think that days are numbered. It's yeah.
So we're gonna blow up and we're gonna own everything. We're gonna take over. Me and Ailway to have our own show.
We got to build our own.
We're gonna get syndicated.
We need our own. We're going to need our own broadcasting company though too, because
that's what we're going to do, man. We're going to take it all over.
What was it? I saw another one that I wanted to read here.
Yeah, shout out to all you guys in the chat, man, that coming through all the time and that support our live streams. It means a lot. You guys always contributing and, like I said, throwing in these supers and just contributing in the chat, the conversations.
Oh, King Speech asked about Speem. I may get Speem back on at some point. He like a lot of us, life is getting in the way. Life is tough. You got to handle business. We don't we're not really making a living doing this. And sometimes I feel like I can't be on here as much as I am. So Speem may come back. He's not dead. If you're worried about that, he is alive.
Yo, shout out to Speem, my man Speem. I haven't heard from Speem either in a while. Usually Speem would hit me up. So I hope everything's going good with Speem. Like you said, LH, life happens sometimes, and life is great, man. So sometimes you're out there living your life, and like I said, you ain't got time to be on the YouTube, man, and come talk with the people and stuff, man.
Let's see. Story Games. What's up, Story Games? How you doing? Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, shout out to Story Games, man. Always coming through. The NBA players are going to start wearing "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts so that they can give more effort in the All-Star games. The NBA is set. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I remember the WNBA players. They wore the "Pay Us What You Owe Us" stuff for their All-Star game, and I thought that was hilarious. I posted a screenshot of that because I thought that, I'm like, what the hell are these women talking about, man? I just don't understand. Like I said, I don't want to go off into, you know what? Damn that. Let's go off into the freaking weeds, man. Listen, I'm telling you right now. When I think about, and I don't cover the WNBA on my channel. I'm not into women's sports, and I did a video literally, I think it was like 6 months ago or whatever it was, literally saying that I don't care about the WNBA. I'm never gonna watch the WNBA. And there's no knock on the WNBA, but I'm not watching women's sports like that. I'm just not watching women's basketball. To me, that doesn't do it for me. But when I talk about, or when I hear these women talk about the money stuff, it gets annoying because, like I said, they often try to bring in and relate what they're getting in relation to what the league is making, or to what the NBA players are making, and into relation to what their league is making. They keep talking about these percentages and all this stuff. And to me, it's laughable for them to make these comparisons. It just doesn't add up. You can't never have any comparisons to the NBA because, like I mentioned, the women have to go through it, y'all. Remember, the NBA started in 1947 as the BAA, right? Then it became the NBA. Then it merged with the ABA. There was a very long history here. These guys were making dirt money. They were working side jobs. People laugh at them now for doing this. These guys were fighting in wars while playing basketball. They were doing all this stuff, man. They had to earn it, right? That's how these guys got to where they are. All of those years later, man. So these women that are talking about what money they're not making, the WNBA started in the 90s, man. What the hell are you talking about? You are years behind the NBA. Years. So what the hell are y'all crying about, man? Y'all league ain't like that. Y'all ain't like that. And for y'all to talking this nonsense, you are going to have to make some changes. What did the NBA do? The NBA merged with another league and brought in a three-point line. This is what they did. They adapted and ran it so that they were encouraged the high flying, the slam dunks, the alley-oops, the exciting play. They wanted that kind of stuff that the ABA was doing. The WNBA, they need to start doing something, man. They need to lower the rim to like 9.5 feet or something like that. They need to do something different. They need to do something to intrigue people to want to watch this, man. And I don't want to hear about the money you're not making. Stop it.
Yeah, a friend sent me that they put up a brick fest right after that. Like apparently they played like dog shit, and I was like, well, they should have kept on the "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts while you played like dog shit. That would have kind of explained it all. And it's not that I'm anti female sports, but I'm only going to fit in watching so many sports and games in my life, and until women are better than men, why would I choose that? But people have told me that the WNBA is more competitive than the NBA, and I hope that that's an exaggeration because, my God, I don't know if that's true or not, but Jesus.
No, listen, that's what I'm talking about, LH. That's what I'm saying. I've heard people say the same thing. People that follow WNBA, I've heard people say that some of this WNBA stuff, sometimes it looks more competitive and it has more action than what you've seen in the NBA over the last several years. Wow. And I get that. I've never watched the WNBA, so I can't say that that's the actual facts. But if that's the case, if that's what people are saying, then that's good for WNBA. That helps their popularity. That helps you maybe get more money. That helps you maybe get more sponsorships and all this stuff. But make no mistakes about it. A lot of people, a lot of these women that can make money from playing basketball, they have more avenues to make money outside of the actual basketball contract that any of these guys could back in the day think about, or even the women for that matter. So I don't really know what they're complaining about. They can all start a podcast right now and probably make thousands of dollars a month just over podcasting on a WNBA team, and they know their name. They're going to get cachet. This is what I'm saying. I can't do that. I can't live like that, but they can do that tomorrow on side of being paid from the WNBA. They can go get endorsements. They might have to go after it. Maybe people are not calling them or knocking their door down, but you can go out and do these things. You can say, hey, I'm so-and-so from here. Let's remember, when they talk about the rich get richer, you know what it is, ladies and gentlemen? Because people that are in these positions, even the lesser professional athletes, the people that you don't even know, they're professional athletes that gives them and entitles them to certain things that we can't even imagine. I remember I had a friend who played in the NFL, right? He was a family friend. Played in the NFL. He was a young player. He signed the contract, right? And I remember going to his house, and I'm in his garage, and he's got all of this stuff in boxes. All this stuff, brand new TVs, all of this stuff in boxes, man. Brand new clothes, all these sweatpants and all this stuff he had. Nike and all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, this all brand new stuff with tags on it, this and that. And he's like, yeah, you know, when you play on the team, they give you this stuff. You get all this free Nike stuff, the Nike sweatsuits and the Nikes this. The team was sponsored by a certain brand of TVs. Then they were giving them TVs because they were sponsored by the team. This is how the rich gets richer. This dude's sitting on top of money. They're not spending money. How many times have you heard NFL players or some of these players say, I haven't even spent any of my game checks. I just put them in the bank. How do you think they're freaking doing that? Because they're getting money in all these different areas, man. Me and you can't do this stuff.
Somebody said, how about Colin Cowherd making sense? No, I will not praise Cowherd. He's a flip-flopper. He said things that are unforgivable. You don't get out of the woods now because you're trying to talk about some things now that the LeBron era is ending. No. I mean, I made a video about this 2 years ago when the first signs of LeBron fatigue were showing. I'm like, nope, if you didn't have integrity from the beginning, that means you don't have integrity. You know, the fact that you're willing to flip-flop when things aren't going your way is the opposite of integrity. If you never had it, then you don't have it. And Colin Cowherd has just said some of the worst. I mean, that's a lot of competition because a lot of people say terrible things, but he said some shit that I wanted to punch him in the face for.
Yeah.
You want to read Star Marvel?
Yeah.
With a $10 super? Thank you.
For coming through. I grew up in Chicagoland. Jordan made it like Disneyland out here. I have always thought LeBron James was a dirtbag, not fun to watch, or no fun to watch. Thanks to y'all, I know I ain't taking crazy pills. Yo, that's what I'm telling you. Shout out to Star Marvel coming through. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes, like I have to like think to myself, like, am I in the Matrix? I say it all the time. They're literally trying to rewrite the history. No, we're not crazy. We know the deal. I always tell you guys, I'm giving you guys perspective, but I'm giving you factual perspective. Factual perspective is what I'm giving you of basketball and Michael Jordan and all this stuff from back in the day. Shout out to Star Marvel.
McZuggins asked to be able to call in. Maybe we will. I don't know. We've been on for quite a while. Here's another super chat from Eyal Sabag. The All-Star game was almost as exciting as the playoffs in the 90s now. Now it's the All-Star game was almost as exciting as the playoffs were back in the 90s. Yeah, the All-Star games were great. Now it's worse than watching the grass grow. It's
oh my God, so true. So true. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like we talk about that's a sad reality for the All-Star game. It really is.
Are they sticking with that USA versus World format that I heard proposed?
I don't know. I guess as the last word was, I guess that's what they're doing. I don't know how they're going to do it. But once again, they destroyed it years ago when they took it originally away from the East versus West. They just messed it up. Like I said, they should have never changed that. That was tradition. Like, you know, tradition matters. It really matters. I don't get why some of these people don't really get that. You know, they try to talk about the evolution of the game, but the evolution shouldn't necessarily take away certain traditions. You know, when we talk about the A2 games and people playing A2 games, that was a badge of honor that was almost like a rite of passage. You could brag about playing the 82 games. It mattered to these guys. Like I said, it's like you were keeping in line with the tradition of the league by going out there and trying to play every night. That's what you just were supposed to do. And now the traditions, it doesn't matter so much.
What do we think about calling? Are you in the mood for calls?
What time is it? I mean, yeah, if you could do maybe one or two calls, I'm down with that, man.
All right, we'll do it for a couple minutes, but we've been on for a while. We're going to be back Sunday. Remember, we're going to be back Sunday.
Absolutely.
All right, link posted. We'll see who hops in here.
Yeah, shout out to all you guys in the chat once again. Thank you for everybody for coming through, as always. Like I always said, we'll be back on Sunday. You guys know the deal, man. We're going to be bringing to you. Is Jim going to be back on Sunday?
Actually, I didn't confirm that. He was busy expressing his concerns over YouTube copywriting.
Yes.
So,
yes.
We got Haas. This will probably
Haas, go. Let him go. Coming hot.
Oh, and here's McZuggins with a super. Oh, I didn't. Haas, you dropped. I did not remove you. Said it before. Clutch got me on WNBA's side. Pay NBA the same. Cheers. Haas, I think you're having connection problems. I saw you come in and go again.
Yeah, absolutely, McZuggins.
Oh, here's McZuggins. McZuggins, are you on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Right.
I just wanted to toss this out there because it happens every week. This, and it happens to me in just regular conversation. Just this idea that we're just haters, LeBron James haters, hate, all this nonsense. I want to just point something out. Just a quick little run through of just the last couple weeks alone.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Horace Grant. Immediately, no, Grant, yeah, Grant was okay, but Grant was actually kind of shit because LeBron James rebounds so much. On Wednesday, we were talking about Charles Barkley. All the attitude, all the awesomeness. Nah, he was shit. LeBron James was way better than Charles Barkley. D. Wade, Hall of Fame. He's amazing. LeBron didn't show up. Why would he show up? D. Wade got carried by LeBron James. He's garbage too. Dirk, Stockton, Gary Payton, Steph, Jokic, Westbrook, Wilt, Kobe, Hakeem, D'Angelo. LeBron's teammates, one by one, even when the stats are used to hide LeBron James's poor performance. Who are the haters exactly? Who do you show love to? Who do you pump up? Who do you respect? All I see is hate and disrespect for anybody not named LeBron James. Who else do you talk about? Who has LeBron James showed love to? Calls himself the GOAT, shits on past teams, opposing teams, his own teams, his current team, probably his future team in advance. It's unreal. We spend more time defending 99 players from you than hating the one that you like. And I want one other quick thing. There's an old book from the 1800s. I had to read it when I was in school. It's actually an amazing book. I think it explains all of social media. But it's an old essay called "On the Pleasures of Hating." And SNF, I think you're gonna like this. This guy made this was in England at the time, late 1700s, early 1800s. He observed, and I'll never forget this ever. Patriotism doesn't mean helping your fellow Englishmen. It only means hatred of the French. Just think about that as you go through our hating, and just who do you build up? That's all I want to know. Anyway, I'll let y'all get to it.
Great pop in, McZuggins. Great stuff.
Yo,
nice and
McZuggins
short
always
and sweet.
like I said, coming in with the machine gun, blazing it down, coming in, dropping some quotes. That was a great quote, by the way. And that's really is a perfect example of the LeBron James mindset. When he talks about, the quote that he said and how the LeBron James fans are always, like I said, quick to, tear down another person and, another player and all these things, man. And it's sensational.
And we have Haas.
Hey, salute, brother. Haas? Hey, good show. Hey, I wanted to offer two quick points of support for a couple things that Robin said, and then I want to offer my own independent thing that I need to get off my chest that I don't think has been discussed yet. So I really need to say this. But on Robin's points, he mentioned that there was some survey and some guys like the average length of actual NBA viewership was like 7 to 9 years or something like that.
Right.
Now, I know we got some elder statesmen listening to the show, but there's also a bunch of young people listening to the show now too. And what I want to tell the young people out there is, if you want to really enrich your own understanding of the game of basketball, here's what you need to do. Okay, every summer, which is the NBA offseason, take 1 year from the past. Just pick like 1987, 1991, 1996, whatever it is. Take 1 year and just watch, like every night, watch one game from the playoffs. And after the whole summer's over, you'll have the whole summer to watch that 1 year for the whole playoffs. I'm talking about both conferences all the way through. Now, you don't have to watch the first round. You can start in the second round. But I'm saying that will help you really, truly appreciate the nature of the history of the game, because Robin's right. Like most of these guys, they've watched the game for like 7 to 10 years, and they don't really understand what's going on. So you really have to dedicate in the offseason, just watch a game a night, or a game, even like a game every other night. And that's not too much to ask. And then you will truly appreciate, and you don't have to watch every year. You could skip a year or two in between. But that's what you need to do to really get on our level, because we understand the game. Now, the second point about Robin talking about the longevity, he mentioned Karl Malone and stuff. I just want to make this real quick point, okay? The sheer illogical nature of LeBron James fans and the media's arguments about the GOAT conversation, it's absolutely absurd. Let me illustrate by saying it this way, okay? LeBron James' case for GOAT and Michael Jordan's case for GOAT are almost diametrically opposed. So how can you have one, like, no matter who you have as 1 and 2, they can't be 1 and 2 because their cases are exactly the opposite. Michael Jordan's case is based on his peak and his prime. LeBron's case is actually nowhere near his peak and prime. It's all based on longevity. So if you are actually intellectually consistent in making LeBron your GOAT, number 2 on your list should be Kareem. And this is only now Kareem is number 2 on my list, but that's simply because he had both the peak and the longevity. He's one of those rare guys. So Kareem would be number 2, but number 3 needs to be Karl Malone. If you have LeBron as your GOAT, you better have Karl Malone as number 3, at least in the top 3 on your GOAT list. Otherwise, I can't take you seriously, because Karl Malone did some amazing things. He's a 2-time MVP winner. He would have won 2 championships if it wasn't for the GOAT, Michael Jordan. And he has the top 3 points totals of all time. And if we're going to talk about LeBron's points totals, well, Karl Malone's right there with him, basically. And Karl Malone played in the NBA for 22 years, whatever. And guess what? Karl Malone played 82 games a year, unlike LeBron's bitch ass who sits out. So what I'm saying is, you better have Karl Malone in your top 3 if you have LeBron as your GOAT, period. Okay, now the final thing I wanted to mention is this touches on some conversations you guys had some weeks ago, and I wasn't able to come in, but I listened to some past episodes. I wanted to chime in on this. There's a lot of people coming in talking about what the media is going to look like once LeBron James retires. Okay, and I have a contrarian viewpoint of this just based on my work as an attorney, and I've done a lot of contracts for Fortune 500 companies, and there's a lot of clauses. These are all private contracts, by the way, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, partnerships, whatever. There's a lot of weird clauses, and I've represented the top companies in the United States. There's a lot of weird clauses that get put in there, stuffed in there based on the CEO's request. And I'm telling you, I can't prove it because I haven't seen the contract, but I'm telling you, the head of the snake is, let me just give the conclusion first, okay? The LeBron James praise is not going to stop when he retires. The media is going to keep on slobbing his knob for like 10 years after he retires. Let me explain why, okay? Because the head of the snake actually isn't LeBron James. He's like the second link. LeBron in Clutch Sports is like the second link. But the head of the snake, well, maybe the third link, ESPN is the second link, but the head of the snake is actually Adam Silver. And let me explain how these contracts work, because Adam Silver has total power and control. Basically, he can distribute the NBA's rights to whatever company and television media provider he wants. And so he could put any strings on that he would like. And Adam Silver's number one sort of point of view in his legacy is Adam Silver wants to be remembered as the greatest commissioner in NBA history. And that's why he has greased the skids for LeBron during his entire career. So what happens is when the NBA gives the media rights to ESPN, this is how the contract works, okay? So the advertisers give their money to ESPN. ESPN gives their money to the NBA. But the NBA could say, look, we'll take a little bit less of your money, okay, in exchange for you following our narratives. So what would happen is this. They would say, okay, we'll take the price down. We'll take the price down like $100 million over the course of 10 or 15 years. But in exchange for that, you've got to follow our narrative written by Adam Silver himself, basically, for not just the term of the media rights contract, but for a decade after that as well. So for example, if the media rights contract ends in 2030, basically they would say, you've got to follow Adam Silver's written narrative. ESPN has to follow this until 10 years after 2030, which would be 2040. Okay. And if ESPN does not follow what Adam Silver tells them to put out as their narrative, they're in breach of contract, and ESPN has to give back to the NBA all the hundreds of millions of dollars that they've based on breach of contract. And all this is done not in the court system. It's done through arbitration. There's an arbitration clause, so it's all private. Okay, so none of this will ever come out in public. What I'm saying to you is that there's clauses in the contract that Adam Silver has demanded ESPN follows, not just throughout LeBron's career, but well past his career, to make sure that Adam Silver is regarded as the greatest commissioner in NBA history. And that's what this is all about. So I just had to get that off my chest. Peace to you guys. I love every time you do a show. I tune in, whether it's live or after the fact, and I just love you. Peace.
Thanks for the rant. We appreciate it.
Haas always comes in with you always come in hot.
Philosopher Stoned has been waiting a little bit. We'll let Philosopher Stoned say his bit, and then I can't sit still this long. I gotta go exercise and then get to work.
Yo, what up, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
What's up, Mr. Stoned?
What's up?
What's on your mind?
What up?
So I forgot who did this video, and maybe you guys touched on it too. I'm getting in the live a little late, so I apologize. But I heard somebody mention that maybe LeBron's plan the entire time was to sabotage the NBA so he could start this league in the first place and use, all of the bad stuff that he did to diminish the game to make the game that he makes with this new league even better. And I was like, damn, it was like one of those memes where all the equations are happening and the white lady is like, oh shit. That was me. I was like, damn, that makes too much sense, because I'm like, damn, he kind of did ruin as much as he could. And this is the coldest part. This is the part that the video didn't talk about that I thought about. Remember when in 2020 all the players came together in the bubble and were like, man, we shouldn't do this. We should start our own league. And LeBron was the one who said, no, we got to stick together in the NBA. That is a snake ass person. That is the snakest of the snakes. Anaconda level snakery. It's disgusting. He's disgusting. And it's unfortunately just going to continue. This is the scary part about this. And this is my last thing.
Yep.
After this, he's going to retire. And we think, oh, the nightmare is over. The nightmare is over. No, the nightmare has just begun. If he starts his own league, it's definitely all of his own press. The press is already on his jockstrap, right? The only hope that we have is when he retires, the NBA, he declares war against the NBA. Great. Because the NBA has all the skeletons from his closet. And now the beginning of the end actually starts. It's about to get crazy, man. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie.
Yo, you're making some great points.
Well, I'm with you. I've always been there. The idea that suddenly the problem that the NBA's invested this much time and effort into is going to go away, too good to be true. Not going to. I'm curious if the argument you presented and ESPN were to actually listen to it and debate against it. I'd be curious to see how quickly they flip, because they compliment LeBron all the time on being calculating. It's manipulation and it's gross, but they call it calculated and smart and a business mind. Are they going to pretend that they never said any of that? if this were presented to them and say, oh, look what LeBron has actually been calculating this whole time, are they going to flip around and be like, oh, no, that's not, LeBron just loves the game. He's not a calculating person. Anyway, that's what popped into my head when you said that. I don't doubt it, unfortunately. Like, he's shown us that his personality level knows no bounds when it comes to shitting on other people for his own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So whether what you're saying comes true or not, all I'll say is that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, you made some great points. Shout out to Philosopher Stone for coming through and dropping that. I made a video talking about LeBron James and proposing that league, and he's trying to come up with investors. And supposedly he has, billions of dollars already lined up from investors for this league. You made some great points. Let's also think that LeBron James has always made damn sure that he's signing max contracts. LeBron James has gotten a lot of money from the NBA. When they compare him to Michael Jordan, the billions of dollars that they have earned, remember, Michael Jordan didn't make that much money for his playing career. The money that Michael Jordan has gotten throughout his life has all come through the endorsements. Everything that he's gotten from what? His legacy. His brand is built off of his own court image, what he did for the game, all this stuff. LeBron James and the things you're mentioning, he's always making sure he gets his money so that ultimately he can become a billionaire. So he could be in a position to start his own league. And remember, if LeBron James ends up starting this league, it's going to be a rival to the NBA. It's going to be a rival, guys, because remember, there's going to be something where you can't play in both leagues, right? So you can't play in LeBron James league and you won't be able to play in the NBA simultaneously. You have to decide between either league. So that's going to ultimately hurt the league. If they start taking some of the better players from the NBA, that's not helping the game. And like you said, LeBron James sabotaged the league so that he can even have a chance to do something like this.
Right. I just wanted to mention a couple other things with this. The last dude said he was an attorney. I'm actually an attorney as well. And the coldest part about all this is he has an agency, right? With current players in the NBA. So if you have current players in the NBA in your agency, and let's be honest, we all know it's LeBron's agency, right? So if you got those players in that agency, you can't have the players going from that league in the NBA to whatever league you're going to. That's a direct conflict of interest. It's unethical as hell. And the guy that he's starting it with, Maverick Carter, doesn't he have a weird case about some fraud shit? I mean, come on, bro. Like it's like they're playing in our faces and people are so stupid now. It's like they just allow it. And then one more thing is, sorry, man, this is just crazy. I heard that the money that he's getting, most of the money is Saudi money. And I'm gonna end it on that. I didn't even, you know what I mean? Because I can get into some whole other stuff, but hey, we're talking billions on billions. If it's that money, he has the money to actually do something money wise with the league.
Well, remember, we talk about the article that I read in relation. Once again, shout out to Philosopher Stone. The article that I read in relation to LeBron James possibly starting his own league, they compared it to Live Golf. And we talked about this. And everyone understands that there were problems with Live Golf versus the PGA and how they were taking golfers away from the PGA Tour and how they were going to have to make a decision, these great golfers, the people that were out there, whether they were going to play in one league or the other. And the money that they were able to offer these guys, through Live Golf, we all remember that. Remember, a lot of these guys are in Dubai, a lot of these teams and a lot of this stuff, and we all understand the kind of money that's out there in these places, man. They were able to offer more money to these guys. So if LeBron James opens up a league, and that they talked about, it's going to be 6 men's teams, 6 women's teams. This is what they were proposing. If he's able to start this league, and LeBron James is able to offer these guys way more money, even though these guys are making a lot of money in the NBA, don't get me wrong. But if they're able to not have a salary cap, let's say, then who's to stop some of these guys to go and play in that league?
I just, a lot of what he talked about was about ethics and whether or not you're willing to be unethical in order for something to happen. Well, Maverick Carter, LeBron James, I don't think of the word ethical, but I also don't think of that fan base as giving a shit about ethics. So if they no matter how shitty what LeBron does, his move to the NBA, they will follow, and his clutch sports people will go there, and they'll face whatever slap on the wrist that comes, if any comes, because LeBron James has already broken the rules in the NBA. and all we hear is ESPN saying how much he's done for the game. I did see this from Infamous Sneak Attack say, what if Jeannie Buss sold the Lakers to invest in LeBron's league? And that's just crazy enough to be true, possible.
Remember, he's looking for investors. LeBron James out there looking for investors, and I'm sure he's trying to be the main guy, like I said, spearheading this thing. See, this is all for LeBron James, and you'll have the silly LeBron James fans out there talking about, yeah, this is going to make LeBron James the greatest of all time because LeBron James is going to start his own league.
I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. I appreciate you being here. Great calls today. Those who called in, great super chats from everybody. On Sunday, we hope to have Jim back for a segment, and we're going to be breaking down my examination of LeBron James trying to guard Jokic in the Olympics on Sunday. Sports and Fitness Rants.
Yeah,
thank you,
once
sir.
Again, thank you very much, everybody in the chat. LH, it's always a pleasure. I like doing the Friday editions with you guys. I hope everybody enjoys their weekend. Shout out to my pops, man. Today's my pops' birthday. So shout out to my father, man. Thank you. 76 years old. So shout out to him. The dude still looks like he's in his 50s, man. So shout out to my dad, like I said, man. The best man I know out there. And shout out to everybody else, man. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.